Hello, my name's Mizu and this video is about my process to make this animation in Blender. There are timestamps for each segment, so feel free to skip around the video for the part that you'd like to see. With that, let's begin. The general scene is made of three main parts: 3D models, grease pencil objects, and lights and cameras. Let's start with the 3D models. Everything except for the flowers and girl are 3D models, which I made using basic Blender edit techniques like bevel, loop cuts, and boolean modifiers. All the 3D models I made were just a combination of those techniques. To achieve the 2D cell shaded effect that you see in the animation, I used a simple Toon shader. To make one, just select your object, add a new material, and then add the shader to RGB and color ramp nodes in the shader editor and connect them like so. Change the color ramp setting here from linear to constant, and now you can add different colors that will appear at different brightness levels as you can see. Just experiment with the colors until you find the right settings for your piece. To add an outline to the models, add another material slot to your object. Delete this and instead add an emission node. Then change the color here to whatever color you want your outline to be. Now, this is important. Go to the settings of your material here and select backface culling and change shadow mode to none. Once you're done with that, go to the modifier tab and add a solidify modifier. Go into normals and turn on flip and high quality, then go into materials and select your material offset to 1. Then change the thickness to a negative value and there you go. Feel free to adjust these other settings to get the look that you want from your outline. Let's proceed to the grease pencil objects. First of all, we have the background details over here. They were made by setting the pencil stroke placement to surface, which lets you draw on 3D models. I use an offset of 0.001 so that the lines are just touching the 3D surface as seen here. For the flowers, I used the 3D cursor stroke placement with my drawing plane set to view. You can move the 3D cursor by pressing Shift and right-clicking your mouse. The flowers only work from select angles, so I only drew from those angles to make sure that the shot looks good. If I went past any of those angles as seen here, the scene kind of falls apart. For the girl, I set my drawing plane to front and drew everything on one plane. When I was done to add a little more of a 3D effect, I just rotated her a little to the side and that honestly did a lot. Now for the animation. For the light animation, I added an empty plane axis and parented the light to it by selecting the two objects and pressing Ctrl P. Then, in the dope sheet, I added a keyframe for the plane axis and rotated it in a second keyframe to move the light, as you can see here. For the camera, I did the exact same process. Now for the grease pencil objects, it was a little more tricky. I made two keyframes, one with a little shadow and one with a lot. Then, to transition between these two, I went into edit mode and pressed Shift Ctrl E. This is interpolation, where Blender will automatically create in-between frames for your keyframes. To adjust the timing and speed of these, just play around with the curve settings here. Last but not least, exporting the file. So here are the settings that I use to export my video. Everything else is set to the default. And that's my process for each part of this piece. Hopefully my workflow dissection was helpful in some way, and if you have any questions or want to see a more in-depth tutorial for some of the things that I discussed here, just let me know. For now, I'm having a lot of fun learning Blender and I hope to make more cool things with the program soon. Till next time, bye!